Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to WCS America. We are going to be hopping into our next series in the lower bracket match in just a little bit. But of course, my name is Fear Dragon, and I am joined by In Control here at the desk. What's the grimace for?
It's my smile.
Oh, okay. I can dig it. That's nice.
Thank you. My mom says it's a really nice smile.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
What else is beautiful is, I think, this upcoming series. Now, MCanning is always a big believer. He says, you know, sometimes the greatest way to build excitement and anticipation for a victory is to first give people a reason to doubt you first.
Way to do that.
Yeah.
Jon Snow gave a boppening, to use your word from earlier. But Epic, I mean, just going into this, you have to think that Epic is about to destroy MCanning because he took Neeb to the limit. I thought he played really, really well. And it wasn't a TVP, which, you know,
matchup.
I don't want to make that too much of a point because it's not a real thing. Like, it is nice to play the same matchup multiple times in a row, but it's not like MCanning's like, what? How do I deal with Space Marines? I don't know. Like, no, he obviously is comfortable.
And I think one thing I want to talk about with Epic specifically is comparing him from last season to this season, because he's come a long way. And I keep talking about how, you know, a lot of people are saying he's a very talented player, etc., how a lot of people thought he could go really far. And I think one of the big problems is that he didn't really have a huge commitment to StarCraft. And I think it's more in the past couple of months, he's been committing a lot more to StarCraft. And specifically this season, he said the big difference that he had between this season and last season when he faced Neeb was last season he said, oh, well, I'm just going to lose to Neeb if I play a macro game, so I just have to cheese him. And this season he said, what if I just tell myself that I can actually beat Neeb in one of those later game stages? And that's kind of how he said, like, I think it worked a lot. It really helped him out.
Kind of like the Neo versus Agent Smith subway battle in the first Matrix, where Neo still loses the fight, but for the first time, he's beginning to believe, and his hands do that blurry motion for the first time.
Exactly. And now all he has to do is just fully unlock the Matrix here versus MCanning, and it'll be a nice advancement over to the placement or the decider match. But MCanning, of course, is going to have something to say about it.
Even if it's just a little something. Just like a, no, please don't. We'll see. Hopefully he'll bounce back, right? That was harsh. But Jon Snow's kind of the North Americans, like our version of that guy we've been talking about for a long time. There's been a lot of European players who have been like, we just need the results. I'm thinking of a Soul, a DNS, some of these players where they've been really good for a while, but they haven't had the results. That's been, Jon Snow's the North American answer to that. And it's a little bit harsh, too, because you hear, well, not harsh, it's not the right, it's just hard because he is so good. But then even when he talks about his own gameplay and the few opportunities he's had, he kind of goes, yeah, I'm very good, but I can't beat a Neeb. Can't beat a Scarlet. It's
the mentality thing. It's literally the exact same thing we were just talking about with Epic, where Jon Snow has said he would go into events and he would get into the round of 16. He'd face off versus Nurtio. He'd be like, okay, cool, that was a really good run. Like, I can't beat Nurtio. And especially a lot of the top European players, you just have this mental block versus, and he just wouldn't really play even to the level that he was capable of. Even if that wasn't necessarily going to be like a favored match, he would just give up kind of in a lot of ways. But I know he's been trying to turn that around a lot, especially with the repeated matchups versus Neeb. Jon Snow, I think, has actually been gradually getting better and building that up. So he's been losing a lot to Neeb. But he's been getting better every single time, I think.
Well, that's very good. We got a little bit ahead of ourselves because that's Jon Snow's not playing right now. It is MCanning versus Epic. And I think they are about ready to kick this off. It's the last group here. After this, there'll be a week-long break, and then we'll do the playoffs. You'll be casting that as well.
Indeed. But our first match is going to be on Dreamcatcher for Epic versus MCanning. Should be a good one. And I think, again, the big thing that I want to see from MCanning is being able to get into that mid-game, late-game stage that he really wasn't able to get and trying to showcase versus Jon Snow. Jon Snow sort of stole that away from him. But the thing is, Epic is also a player who I think is very capable of doing the same thing in that early game.
Well, all right.
All right. Well, spawning down here, the bottom right-hand corner of the map, we have our blue Terran player from Psystorm Gaming. He is Epic. And up here in the top left, it's our red Protoss player from Flipside Tactics, MCanning.
Okay. So nobody wants to go down hard. You don't want to lose brutally and have that be it. especially someone who is as entertaining and awesome as MCanning. He's got one of the best StarCraft 2 streams I think out there. He's kind of late at night for us Americans, but just really solid play, very comfortable, talks to the chat, really fun to listen to. So that's why you can't help but cheer for him. He gets to this stage, you know he wants it, you know he puts a lot of time into StarCraft, but being entertaining, being a good streamer, that's one thing. Beating people to advance through WCS, whoa, that's a whole nother animal.
Yeah, MCanning has gotten into Challenger before. He's actually had some pretty good runs through Challenger before, but he's never quite made it into, say, the top 4 of Challenger. He's never really made the super deep runs at these big events. He's always gotten close or shown a lot of promise in a lot of these big events, but never really made the deep run. So this is one of those opportunities once again, but he's kind of already up against the ropes, sitting down in the lower bracket match.
Yep, it's a tough opponent in Epic.
Well, Probe already taking quite a bit of damage here as he's trying to just confirm the scout on that natural. Does eventually get it.
Yeah, and so far if you look up there, it's, again, I hate to hear myself say this over and over again, but for right now it is going to be that standard opening. Neither player doing anything too wild and crazy. The belief, a lot like in PvZ, is that, although not as rigid, but I will say that you see a lot of Stargates. So after this Cybernetics Core finishes, will we see an immediate Stargate? Will it be delayed? Or will it not even happen? Other openings, of course, are going to be like a Twilight Council with Blink first. Very rarely you see the Robo, which I think is almost too bad, because I still do like it as an opening, but it just ends up being a little bit too passive, a little bit too hard to get things going, so people usually opt for the Stargate.
Okay, and we have that Probe moving around. There is actually...
Wow!
Oh, yeah. I was going to... MCanning is, again, yes, he does sometimes play a lot of that standard, but he also has his own little style, especially when you get out of PvZ. I think he can get into more of his own groove a lot of the time. But the Reaper does move around, I want to note, it was scouting around for potential proxies a lot, which is why it's showing up so much later. The Stalker's very much out, but hey, it's still getting a kill on one of those probes.
Yeah, that should be it though, right? Reaper's
going to start regenning health. Oh, no, never mind. Missed path.
Turn around. But it did see the Robo. Can you confirm that for us?
Yeah, definitely saw the Robo. So we grab Vision. Yep.
Yeah, and that's a pretty big read. When you see something like that, I believe, and you know, to get into the mind of a Terran player, I believe you're thinking you're going to be fairly passive.
But Hellion opening coming out over here for Epic, and their wall-in is coming up at the absolute perfect time. MCanning, I'm not sure if he actually got some extra vision on what was coming out, but it might just be something that he was saying, this is a possibility, I haven't really seen too much, and it's going to be a good read.
Well, so far this is actually the opening that Epic already tried to pull against Neeb. It was just the 2 Hellions. Roddy kind of talked about the value in just chucking them in there if there's any kind of proxy. This is the slight difference, though. It's going to be that proxy medevac for 4 Hellions. And I actually love this opening because they can just end the game.
All right, MCanning, all of his Stalkers are down over in the low ground. He's starting to reposition them now as he's seen it with the Observer, but is it going to be a little bit too late? Hellions are already in the mineral line, and there are so many weakened up probes.
Oh my god, he just keeps lining them up. Stop it!
Okay, well, that's already enough damage, Jeff. That's already enough damage. Yeah,
it's not even done, but you're right. It's already done. 3 of them are going to get down here to the natural as if things couldn't get any worse. And again, they're lined up. 16, 18, and you can count it with me, everybody. That's it. GG is called. And I'll tell you what, so on paper, by the way, or not even on paper, we're just looking at this game. It's very quick and very easy to look at this and say, MCanning, what are you thinking? That's terrible. But honestly, 4 Hellions in your base is a very difficult situation. At best, all you can do is spread out your probes. You have to kind of individually throw them away. You cannot run from that. And then maybe you have the luck of the draw with like a quick warp in. If your Stalkers can see that coming earlier, that's nice too. And to be honest, Ravi, this is also part of the reason why you do open up Stargate. So if that attack shows up, you pick up 1 or 2 of the Hellions with your Phoenix, or if you have an Oracle, it just has enough DPS to really chop down those Hellions, but that didn't happen here.
I mean, it's kind of calculated risk opening where you try and go for the Robo, and you're saying, like, yeah, some of those weirder attacks that make that opening a lot harder to go for, that's what you're kind of saying, like, okay, maybe I'll do this. My opponent doesn't go for this. I'm in a really nice spot where I feel more comfortable with the Robo. But if it does happen as it does, then you kind of look like a little bit of a goof, and it doesn't feel good.
You look like a goof. I agree with that. The other part of this, too, is we saw from Neeb, one of the other answers is to scout around. You have to take your initial probe or perhaps go with that Adept and just check around. Because if that medevac is coming from the main base, you have that little extra time to hopefully utilize the 2 or 3 gateways and get out a couple more Stalkers, and then you do have the DPS that as long as they're in the right spot and you target down the weaker Hellions, you can kill them before 20 probes die.
Yeah.
The hard part about this, though, is even with Stalkers as your answer, you still are going to lose 8 probes or something like that, and it's not like those Hellions really cut into the Terran economy, so it's just a good opening. I mean, it's something that Epic returned back to here.
And this is kind of the old school Epic that I like seeing, is which he gets in your face. He likes throwing out a lot of these weird builds, or I guess not super duper out of meta builds, but they're things that you see a little bit more rarely in the meta, I would say.
Okay.
And kind of just throws off your pace, which I feel like is the way that you have to play versus MCanning. You need to just throw him off his game for your best chance.
Not a bad way to start off a best of 3 here, as Epic does take that first game really quickly. We're just waiting on these guys to make the lobby. So far, they haven't. Even checking the chat to see if they said something.
I just got the invite. It's going to be on Lost and Found for game number 2.
There we go.
But it's so funny because I feel like MCanning, he still has not gotten into that mid-game or late-game stage. He's never really been able to go into his strength, which, again, is his opponent's kind of playing, I think, a little bit to him. But if he gets to that point, I feel like he's going to have a much better shot. Even if he's getting there from a little bit behind, I still think he actually can do okay. But I'm really wondering, is Epic still going to let him do that? Even in game 2, I kind of wonder. I think this might be a nice opportunity for Epic to do another pressure build.
I would agree. I think you can count on your hand the amount of times Terrans don't open up with some form of harass or not. And I'm just saying it to be scientific, because actually they never do. It's something, right? It's either going to be a Hellion drop, Widowmine drop, Hellion run by, something weird, some kind of proxy, but it just doesn't happen in the TVP matchup. So MCanning, a little bit of the unluck of the draw, as it were, in this one, but to your point, he's going to need to go ahead and kind of dig deep, because he's so far 0-3, and in all 3 games it's been a bit of a thrashing. And I do agree with you, his strength is going to be that flushed out mid-game tech choices. We know him for his good disruptors, but we also know him for just 3-4 base play, very strong, good army movement. But if you can't get to it, what good is that, right? So these top players, if they know that he's very good at that stage, they're going to make it hard.
Okay. Game is loaded on up into Lost and Found. What will be lost and what will be found? Who's going to make it to the place or the final match? We'll have to wait and see as we spawn into the bottom left-hand side of this map.
Not yet, Ravi. We're still looking at their names.
Well, we've spawned
Building momentum.
Building momentum. Spawning down here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, we have our blue Terran player. He is Epic from Psystorm Gaming. And up in the top right-hand corner of the map, it is our red Protoss player from Flipside Tactics. It's MCanning.
Literally, last name Canning. And then you kind of wondered yourself, where does the M come from? There is no good story here.
There is a good story.
You like that story?
It's a great story.
Go ahead and tell it then, Ravi.
Well, is there a long story? It's not even really a story, right?
Tell
It's
us a good story you got there, man.
Oh, it's his brother's name. So he decided, his brother's name is Matt.
Yeah.
So he decided to call himself MCanning.
You like that story, Ravi?
I really like that story.
Hey, man. Tell you what. If that is good to you, the worst thing I could do is to taint your perspective. It sounds like you enjoy a lot of things. That's nice. But yeah, and there, the little spray. I like that it actually has like a little, like shudders and an actual spray comes out. LHF.
Yeah.
I have never done a spray.
Would you be in favor if all units could throw down sprays, not just workers?
Jeez. That'd be pretty obnoxious.
But I don't know if you know this. Sprays are on cooldowns. You only have maybe one every couple of minutes.
Oh, I just figured you could only do it once. But you can do multiple?
You can do it multiple times, but I think you can only have up to 4 on the map or something. Okay. There's all these weird rules.
And only one, right? You don't have multiple sprays.
You can only have one spray
multiple times.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this probe here, is it being fancy, or is it just going to hide to get another scout?
Now, this is kind of what he did in the last game, where he just sat around with that probe and then moved back in a little bit later on. And hey, he's going to actually be able to move in a really nice time when the Reaper was already moved out. Reaper does pull back, though. And
there's another...
Wow.
No, you're doing okay. You're doing how many units are here? For a second, I was like, he's building 21 SCVs and another Reaper?
No.
No,
Pulled back the Reaper.
I figured it out. I figured out the riddle. Did he get us? Did he see up the ramp? I think he did, right?
He did move up the ramp, I think.
And Robo again.
There's, of course, Scout on the reactor and the factory, so can expect...
I bet it's Cyclone.
Cyclone?
I think it's Cyclone.
Reactor Cyclone?
You know why?
Why?
He saw a preemptive, unscouted wall-in by MCanning. 2 gateways and a pylon. I'm wrong. I thought it would be so cool to go Cyclone here.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't
That's
take.
true. I believe Yoda said that. Wayne Yoda Gretzky. And now this Reaper's going to hop up here, and if it sees the Robo again, I feel like Epic's got to be so comfortable, and he does. Just to be clear, by the way, I don't hate against the Robo opening. In fact, when I play, not that that's any kind of benchmark for success, that's often the direction I go. It's inspired by Rain from Heart of the Swarm era PVT, but it is a tough style to pull off. You can get a bunch of observers out, you get great information, but there's just some openings where you're just kind of one bad move away from a Widowmine popping a bunch of workers or something.
I want to emphasize also that this is not the proxy starport opening
right.
Epic went for the last game. So these kind of wall-ins, well, I want to say these kind of wall-ins, but this has still got a lot of gaps in it. So MCanning still needs some work if he wants to actually close this off. He went for a much further back wall, which in some ways is kind of good for other pressures, but for this, it makes it harder to actually create a full wall to prevent the Hellions from coming in.
I'm not even trying to be snarky. I'm not quite sure what this actually does for him. Honestly, almost nothing.
Bottom side.
Okay, so there's the wall in, and that's nice.
And like one more gateway, I guess, and a stalker holding position.
Yeah, but the more you put up there, the more... Okay, I actually kind of was right, by the way. There's going to be Cyclones here, and there's no... there is a shield barrier, but it's far off to the right, which kind of complicates this.
Sentry getting immediately target fire down, so that Guardian Shield not going to be available anymore. But Epic losing quite a bit and not actually killing any workers. He's killing a lot of these gateway units, and the repair on these Cyclones is actually doing quite a bit.
The Zealot was huge there, though. The Zealot actually not even targeting down the guy that's wounded, but it did enough to get this at a low point of health that it will end up getting repelled. And as you pointed out, the workers not going down means that the Protoss is fairly okay. Now, if a Protoss loses an army, like let's say there's 3 sentries there, or something hugely gas intensive, that in and of itself is pretty bad. But actually, a decent hold by our Protoss here in MCanning.
Yeah, and a 3 gateway Robo base straight into Colossus.
Squirtle, is that you? Is that Squirtle?
This is really greedy play, and he kind of got away with it now, because what's Epic really going to put pressure with? He can maybe eventually get up a Medevac and go for some Widowmine drops or something, but that's kind of it.
Full scout here. Observer pulls in, sees everything, including the Widowmine trying to get to a annoying spot to perhaps pick up a Warp Prism or some kind of flying thing. But yeah, it is Colossus. You called it greedy. I don't know. Maybe it's the Protoss bias in me. I'm not ready to call it greedy, but I will say it is aggressive in a different way, right? Like he's cutting a lot of corners here. But the fast Colossus is really nice because it can throw a Terran for a loop. They can be like, oh my gosh, Colossus. And then that can put the halt to their production, and then you can use that time, exactly as you see here on screen, to go ahead and drop the 3rd Nexus.
Third Nexus does pop on down. We got the Zealot making its way around the map, just looking around for anything that might be hidden, and also has an Observer spotting around for the 3rd base of Epic, which has that actually even started up yet? Okay,
nope.
It's finished up in the main
okay,
base,
yeah, it is. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And just now the 4th barracks as well, or 4th and 5th, excuse me. Now, as this goes on, by the way, and I love that we see a Disruptor already coming out, it's kind of a little bit interesting because he is going range in the Colossus. So it's not like a fake Colossus. You can't call it that. With range, it absolutely is what it is. So the Disruptor here is good, but I actually called it good. I don't know that I think it is good. I think you go up to 2 or 3 Colossus if you're going to go range and then get a Disruptor out, because 1 Disruptor shot and 1 Colossus is kind of a weird...
Colossus.
Oh, never mind. It changes everything. No, I agree. I like 2.
Okay. Yeah, I think 2 is typically what you'll end up seeing if you want to try and do the bait and switch. Where, but you know what? I feel like this happens so often that it's not even really a bait and switch anymore. Every single Terran player sees a Protoss player say, okay, there's 2 Colossus. There's a good chance you're going to Disruptors, but I still have to respect the Colossus.
Yeah, I don't want to take this too far. I just think that the Disruptor right now is a little bit weird. I'm much more comfortable with 3 Colossus, then switch to Disruptors. So if the guy shows up with like 35 Vikings, yeah, you have Disruptors. But the 1 Disruptor right now, anyways, like I said, it's not the biggest of deals. 2 Medevacs are going to make their way up into the main here.
He caught a small glimpse of it with the Observer if he was paying attention.
I was going to say, did he though? But he did.
Okay, and there, Colossus plus the Disruptors are here. The Disruptor not actually firing off a shot, and he loses the Colossus because he's focused on this engagement on the south side. Force fielding away those units. He defends well there. Losing the Colossus, though, definitely hurts because now he's down to that one Colossus you're talking about.
Well, it was more just that it's not necessary, right? Like, you could just pull that back. The shield battery would help finish, heal, excuse me, whatever was lost. But he had enough force that he wasn't worried. Anyways, it was a mistake, but like you said, it was the multi-prong angle of Epic that forced that mistake. Now, keep that in mind, because if the Neeb series is any indicator, Epic was all over the place and did a really good job of never attacking from basically one angle and making it easy on the Protoss.
Yeah, this is also going to be MCanning's best chance of taking a game in Challenger so far. This is his wheelhouse. This is the most his wheelhouse that you can possibly get, where he gets in the mid game, he's not super far behind, he has Disruptors coming out, and if he can't take this one, I kind of feel like he's not going to have a great chance of making it out of the group in general, even if he does somehow. Well, I guess actually
take this one, Fear Dragon,
he's out of the group. That's true.
Yeah.
This is a good point.
You got there, but...
So, I was going for the tasteless level analysis. He doesn't have a great chance.
Now, if he loses this game, he'll be eliminated, which makes it really hard to advance. In fact, impossible.
Okay, double prong attack once again. We have the attack on the south side getting warded back by Disruptor. The rest of the units inside the medevacs picking on up and retreating out.
Okay.
Fourth base going up as well over here for Epic.
This is one of the best parts about Epic, I think. A lot of Terrans can get kind of tunnel visioned on harassing and over-microing that and really focusing on that, and then lose track of either advancing their tech or expanding behind that. But the really good Terrans frustratingly put down planetary fortress on 4th, 5th, 6th bases. And by the time the Protoss finally does clear past that, they are dealing with this economic juggernaut.
Okay, he's coming across the map with even more units. We do have a Dark Shrine on the way.
Love it.
Yeah, MCanning a big believer in the DTs.
You have to be. You have to be.
There's a surprising number of pros that aren't.
That's what I'm saying. All these Protoss, and you know what? That's why Europe only has one.
There you go. Good Disruptor hit, though.
I feel like that sound is the sound of the Disruptor. Every caster's made it.
Liberator siege up in a really nice spot where they're actually not going to get target for down, and they managed to snipe off a good number of units there, getting a Sentry, a Disruptor or two. MCanning still has a few of those Disruptors available at a choke point, so it's hard to push through further, but the Liberators complicate things.
This is Epic's trial by fire, right? We saw Neeb survive this push right here, but it took everything he had. Does MCanning have what it takes to withstand this? It's going to be tough. Really tough.
Oh, that shield battery is out of energy, so that cannon's going to go down in a matter of seconds. He just retreats all the probes out because he realizes he doesn't want to lose any of those, but he also has another base coming up, so that's going to be sort of his saving grace if he can get up that base. But like you said, Epic already expanded as well, so this is still really good damage for Epic.
Love that spotter Marine. It's such a spoiler, by the way. If that Marine's not there and he gets a flank on this, he can deal with the Liberators quite nicely.
Still a lot of Disruptors available, but the Liberators continue to zone out this Protoss army. The shields on this Nexus are nearly all gone now. We had a couple of those DTs moving forward, but at the same time, these Disruptors actually getting quite a bit of damage. Oh my god, how in the world? These Disruptor connections!
Yep, it's because of that little bit of complication with the DTs over there. Really nicely done.
And he's going to be able to snipe off some of the medevacs on the retreat.
He does pick off the Nexus.
This DT up to 4 kills. Got some good damage done.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's just, that was all you said, so I didn't know if it should jump in or not.
There's nothing more to say. It's getting damage
4
done.
kills.
It's still working.
Yeah, and it's actually making microing this force over here a little bit more difficult to deal with. It's just not getting cleaned up at all. So Epic, I mean, I think we're seeing the kind of weak spot in his abilities. Neeb never was really harassing him while fighting off the defense. And right now, Epic's slipping a little bit, but there's the Liberators still doing some pretty okay work. Now, MCanning is down to that one base that we saw from Fear Dragon. If he loses that middle third base, the game's over. And that is where we're at. If Epic can apply pressure to that, the game could come down to its climactic moment.
MCanning tries to go for the wraparound once again, but some units spotted out, and the Liberator just moved forward. But these Disruptor hits.
Stimming to run away from a Disruptor shot. Very Indiana Jones of him.
Okay, Stalker's taking quite a few hits from these Liberators, and now he's just giving up his natural. This gets really weird, but MCanning is committed to this at this point.
Okay, some interesting army movement back and forth. He has enough forces at the natural that the army is kind of drying up over here, but I'm looking at that army supply, and I'm saying this isn't it, Fear Dragon. This is just that initial push. Where is the rest of Epic's forces?
It's starting to make its way forward, but even this is not that large of a force. He's focused right at the Disruptors. I love that decision. Some Medivacs are going to get sniped off. A Colossus comes forward, but I want to note that the 5th base, or I should say now the 4th base retaking, is getting sniped off over here. But no! Epic is going to retreat back. A little bit of miscontrol.
That was an F2 if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but he's not going to be able to get that.
No. Even Marauders, they have not been buffed that much. If they could, that would be ridiculous, but here we go. Just keeps expanding. Now, keep in mind, Dark Templar are available to MCanning, but one of the kind of pressures on a Protoss in that situation, if you don't have 4 or 5 bases in this gigantic economy, DTs are expensive too, right? If you send too many out there and they don't get work done, then all of a sudden, that's another Colossus or 2 or more Disruptors critically here.
Okay, Liberator sieging up, or I should say MCanning forcing the siege up. He's buying himself a little bit more space to work with.
Yep.
DT... Just getting a scout on the army, and then gets revealed by
well, it is forgivable. He walked back out of the scan.
Wait, there are no Medivacs here.
Yeah.
There's no Medivacs on the map.
Oh, my God.
Oh, sorry. There's 2 now just popping out right as I say that.
Medivac-less.
But that does make a lot of these stims really difficult. And if MCanning can force engagements in the center and force any stims out, this is really nice.
Left canceled.
Ooh, that was really a nice cancel for the DT. And now MCanning maybe getting himself back into better economic position, but oh, Disruptor hits? Not quite.
Don't exist there. And the Blink's going to cost a little bit. I like the idea, though. A couple of good Disruptor hits there, kill those Liberators, and as you pointed out with the lack of Medivacs, that is basically the teeth of this army, right? The Bioforce is okay, but with how many Disruptors are there, if you don't have the Liberators, I really feel like MCanning wins the fight in a big way.
Okay, the army for Epic is still healthy. He's got these 2 Medivacs also helping out. The big Blink forward.
I didn't see that they had a Blink. The Stalkers must have just been there, because it's like, you guys are dead if you don't have a Blink.
Okay, another drop loading up, or a lot of drops actually loading up to go on the south side of the map, but MCanning maybe looking to pounce on this army first.
Is he thinking about it? Okay, he's just setting up outside. That's fine.
Okay.
Because right now he's holding on to the base, and there's not much that Epic can do to get up there. So right now his positioning's not that big of a deal, but the big drop, as you pointed out, is going to come on the right side of the map.
And MCanning just doesn't have the units over here to defend and has to cancel. But this is not just going to end over here. He's going to continue to push forward over to the natural. Disruptor in a Dream.
Oh, the probes, though.
Oh, God, the probes.
Take these probe sacrifices and go home. Disruptor shot misses. That is basically the one shot here. And now he's between a rock and a rock place, Rubby, as they say.
Okay, the rest of the army also pushes up over into that base. He snipes off that base while just MCanning is moving over toward his main to try and deal with this. Oh, no.
Yeah, but I mean, this is inconsequential, right? Like, it gets the cancel, that's nice, but it opens up all the space. The whole army's here. Are you kidding me? There's no way Epic lets him take that. No, Epic's gonna be really patient. I really feel like his army can come over here and kill this final base, but
yeah.
Okay, he's on his way. He's on his way. He's just moving his own time.
Getting there eventually.
Yeah.
But he's already hampered MCanning's economy so much at this point.
MCanning's got to fight. It might not be the best fight, but he knows he has to fight. He cannot give up this base. He's rebuilding on the right side, but that's the 3rd time he's trying to retake that territory. And these Liberators, they get into position. There are Tempests coming out, but just the one so far. The DPS off that one Tempest is going to be painful. It's going to take forever to kind of trim them down.
This is a rough spot for MCanning, but never doubt a man with a Disruptor and a Dream. And the Disruptors, well, they get some okay hits so far, but the problem is he needs better than okay. He needs amazing hits.
Yep, and that's the beginning of one. But to your point, even then, he's actually going to lose this next anyways. And that's kind of the... Wow, that's just it. GG, MCanning taps out. And Epic with a pretty straightforward 2-0 there. Tip of the hat to MCanning. He's an entertainer. He's a great guy, one of the best personalities in the scene. But unfortunately, he is not ready for the heat that this group is packing. Epic looks good in the TVP matchup, at least.
Epic is looking really, really solid right now. It's really awesome to see such a talented young guy kind of making his splash in the scene finally at last after a very long time of being in the scene, but not really being the person that can commit that much time to StarCraft because of school and because of all the other random, I guess, requirements of life.
Yeah, and you know, that's kind of